Yeah.
It doesn't move.
That thing isn't going anywhere. It's solid as can be. Look at that mushroom. Most of these aren't mushrooming over that bad. This is some hard ground. That might be about it. Glad I welded that with 7018. Well, we're either going to drive it down or mushroom it. One. That right there, that's some hard ground. That's going to have to be good enough. Alright, let's get our pipe and our drill. Right there. Hold your hand on that. That's pretty close, at least on my side it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can go ahead and bolt that one in. No, we'll wait till we get the other side in.
Do you want to go ahead and drill your hole at the bottom? Since I have the measurement.
Can you remember it?
Yeah.
Let's do all that at the same time. Okay guys, so I wanted to show y'all what we did here. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but this piece of pipe, once you get it drove in the ground, even in the hardest ground we've got, it still pivots pretty easy because it's just round pipe. And even when it pivots, it still seems to be super solid in the ground. So what we're actually doing is we're pivoting this off center of the post just a little bit. Savannah, slide that pipe down on there. And that's helping us to get our pipe on there. We can still get it on there straight. So if you got a place you don't think you can work, then do it. But you see what we did there? We got it just off center just a little bit. And then we're going to take and cut on our angle just like y'all saw us do in that other video. We're just going to cut down just like that and then pull the pipe back off, and we will just hit that right back over. Seems to work pretty good. So okay, so we're getting ready to bolt these in. This may be a little hard to do because this kind of takes two people to do all this, but you want to get a dependable measurement to about where your hole is right here for your bolt hole. That way when you put this on, you'll just kind of watch. Now you put that on. We're going to try to do this with one hand. And you want to make sure that when you slide this down, that it is snug up against this pipe down here, the bottom pipe. That way this brace has no movement up and down. It's solid, has nowhere that it can go. You don't really want it to depend on the bolt. The bolt is just to keep it from coming out. You want it to be solid where it cannot move. And then take your drill. That's why you want to wait. I'm sorry, I got my finger in the way, y'all. Take your drill and put it where it needs to go. Okay,
2 5/8.
2 5/8.
Down,
Tell me.
down.
I can't see it right here.
Right there.
Okay.
Thereabouts.
I'm twisted just a little bit. Twist me back.
Yep.
If you can.
Right there.
That usually doesn't happen when you have to do it with one hand. Now, look, before I pull that out, you see what Savannah's doing there? She's pushing that down, making sure that that post stays pushed down right here, because otherwise your drill may walk it up and then you'll have a little flapping. So pull that back out, and then we're just going to put a bolt in it. Alright, so we got that in. You can see we just put a 3/8 bolt all the way through, just like that. And then you're not dependent on your bolt, you're dependent on the back side of that. And that works pretty good. Then the next part is to get you a bolt in here. We're going to kind of try to show you as best we can what we do with one hand. We're using actually 1/4" bolts here. You probably would be, there's no reason not to use a 3/8. I just didn't have a 3/8, but you probably would be better with a 3/8. Now, I used low grade bolts here. 90% of the time, I only use high grade bolts. That's all I ever do. But for this, the high grade bolt, the low grade bolt is already stronger than your plastic. So in my mind, I really didn't need anything except for that low grade bolt. And I always suggest, I'm not being sponsored by Tractor Supply, but I always suggest buying my bolts from Tractor Supply, because as far as I know, that's the cheapest place I can ever find bolts, is Tractor Supply. So go there and try that out. But Tractor Supply, if you are listening, I will accept a sponsorship. Okay, so what you want to do is figure out about where, yeah, I got it, Savannah. Okay. About where you want to go to where your threads are, you know, where you don't have to put too many washers. So somewhere about right there, and then get your partner to grab it. Go ahead, Savannah. Okay. And then your partner is going to have to kind of be halfway good at eyeballing stuff. You okay? Yep. Running into that thorn?
Yeah, I put my foot all in that.
We're out here in shorts because it is extraordinarily hot. But then we have to get down on our knees, so we're using an old bath towel. It is just very hot.
And if you're the partner, you got to make sure you don't let that bolt move.
Yeah, because that's your job. It's your responsibility. All right, so now she's going to take and make sure that the bit is not cocked up or down, that we're actually in line and in the right spot.
Up just a little bit.
Okay.
Up, just right there. And then you're cocked to right about in there.
Okay. So now, of course, to get a bit started, once she's got you set, you've got to get square with your pipe. Kind of helps you get started. And then once you're started, now you can tilt at the angle. Or you can go all the way in either way and then turn it to the right angle. Does that seem about right?
Up a little bit. No, I mean
down?
angle up.
What did you mean?
Yeah, right there. That's good.
So just say my end up or down.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, now pull your brace back a little bit because you're not quite center of your post.
Oh.
Yeah, come on back
Right.
just a little bit. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, now what do I need to do?
Angle your end down.
My end down. Okay. And then what you run into sometimes, we're using 8-inch bolts. You could use a shorter bolt here. We could have used a shorter bolt. But we started out using 2.5-inch, even for our braces, and now we found out that the 2-inch is significantly cheaper and it's plenty good enough. So you might, I would suggest going with your 2-inch for your post right here, if you can find a piece of pipe that will sleeve inside of it. The piece of pipe is going to be, our piece of pipe is about 1 7/8, but you could probably go with a 2-inch and you might even be better off.
Just a tad.
All right, so I just extended my bit, pushed it out as far as it would go. Okay, now do what with it?
Angle the tip up.
That's probably about all I got. Got our hole, and now I'm gonna walk around right here, make sure my camera's still recording. It is. And okay, tell me where to go.
Okay, put it up there. Down. Right there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so go ahead and see if you can get it in there. Get your washers on too.
Back this way, right?
Yes.
So,
So what we're doing, guys, is we are trying to get in our center of our post, but some places, some of your corners you'll find, depending on the angle of your brace, like if it's not a true 90 degrees, you can't always get it in center. So you just do the best you can. In center, you're gonna have the most strength both directions, but you know, I still think it's strong enough even if you, but you see here, this lines up pretty good. Not too big of a problem. But the important thing is that you're not depending on your bolts. That everything's cut tight. Here, move your arm for just a second, babe. Okay, you see that? We're touching. Okay, of course we have a gap here because we didn't grind this to fit perfectly here, but we're touching there and there, up top and bottom, and then we're touching down here on our pipe. So everything's a super tight fit. We're not depending on our bolt. The bolt is just keeping this from moving up and down and tightening everything up. Okay, so go ahead and tighten that up, Savannah. And like I said, you could go with a shorter bolt and be just fine. It just depends. I would probably suggest just figuring out what size bolt you think you're going to need. A 6 or a 7-inch might be fine in a lot of places. I sure wouldn't want to get out here and then have to go back to town and buy bolts. But from there, guys, you just snug it up. Basically, you want it to be tight, but you don't want it to be so tight that you start to bow this right here. If you were to get it real tight, you know, obviously you're going to bow that right there. So that's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get it tight enough that it's, you know, good and snug. And we'll show you here in just a minute. Savannah, why don't you go over there and show them how tight that post is. That corner post right there. Yeah.
It doesn't move.
That thing isn't going anywhere. It's solid as can be. And if you look down here, you can see that we got done with our concrete. And so we tried to cheap out and use the old junk concrete that had gotten rained on. And it didn't set up at all. So this is really not even the best concreted in post. And it wasn't awfully solid. So we're going to actually dig a lot of that out and put in some more cement. But the point is that even not being cemented correctly, that's how solid that corner is. So I think it's pretty great. Now, for the most part, most of you should know this, but when you're making this corner, you want to go ahead and get your string line set as soon as possible. That gives you, because you don't want your corner like over here or over there in your fence. You know, you want it to be pretty close come getting down in line with it, Strana. You want it to be pretty close. Doesn't have to be exact, but somewhere pretty close in line once you're done. So get that done. That should be one of the first things you do. Get your corner post set, and then go ahead and get your string on all the way around. All right, most of you, a lot of you guys already know this, but if you don't, this is for the people that don't know. Okay, when you're doing a string, first of all, you see how I get it pulled around first, not like that.
Yeah, and so I'll just add in that this is not like string, this is hay twine, so it does have some like give and bounce to it.
Yeah, well, and also my hands are really sweaty too.
Yeah.
So what I do, just put it around and then pull. You can pull right here, and now you've got a little grab to it. You're less likely to do that. Pull it till it's tight. We're just wanting it pretty good and snug because we got a very long run here. So we want to get all of our stretch out. Now, most of the time when you're building, got a piece of pipe, 2x4, whatever, all you gotta do is one wrap, go like that, and you're held in. That's all you have to do. Actually, I just came loose down there, guys. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and show you that, just so you know. One time around and wrap, and that'll hold. That's all you need, as long as you're tight. Okay, but this pipe is pretty slick. You see, I did it several times, so all I do then is just wrap several times over top of itself, and then just do the same thing, go right over top, and you're good to go. But 90% of anything you build, one time, maybe twice, is all you need to do, and then go right over top. It works perfect. Pretty close. There. So this is something that we didn't think about when we did this. I'll probably think about it. You know, this is the first time we're doing these corners like this. So now that I know, I'll probably think about it some more and maybe find a way to adjust for it. But this ground right here is it's a really steep slant right here. It's a really steep hill. As a result, we ended up so much lower on this one that it made our braces not the same. So next time, I'm not sure exactly what I can do to make that look the same, because I'm already pre-welded at 45. So it's not like I can change my angle much. The only way I could change my angle is to drive that in. So I'm not exactly sure what I would do next time, except maybe not drive that one in as far. Go ahead and leave it up some, you know, because you end up with this right here. But there's nothing wrong with this. This isn't going to hurt anything. It's just aesthetics is all it is. Now obviously if you ended up way down here, it might not be a good thing, but just keep that in mind if you get ready to do it, that if you're on a hillside it may change, and if you want to fool with it and worry about something, go right ahead, and if you don't, then don't worry about it. With that being said, I don't think that being out of the ground a little bit is going to hurt anything. The reason I like it driven all the way down is just because I don't want to have to worry about it grounding out at all. I want it completely out of the way. So I don't know what it is about this kind of work, but something about it has just always been relaxing to me. Just get into a smooth rhythm, especially when you got somebody to work with and you're not working by yourself. Just kind of get out, get going, especially when the weather's good like this. It was pretty hot this day, but it was enjoyable. We had a light breeze going on. Both just kind of got into a rhythm. Was able to just get our work done. See our rigging we have to do here on the farm just so that we can bring y'all quality videos. Alright guys, so at this point we're actually running our line posts. I don't know if you can see them real small. They're small. We're using these 3/8 line posts that we got on Tractor Supply. So these are fairly affordable. If I was going to keep this place for a long lease, I would use something else. But as a smaller, like a shorter term lease like this, I'm probably going to end up using something like this just because I don't want to have to spend a huge amount of money on it. But regardless of what kind of post I do, anytime you use a plastic post or a fiberglass post or a post that may flex, something that's not steel like a T-post, this bit right here is a life changer when it comes to hard clay soils like we have here in the south. So you get your post kind of set where you want it. I know pretty much where I want it there. I take my bit. I can tell by my clay mark where I want it, but ideally I'd have a piece of tape on there where I want it. Get it pretty close. I got it set on the hammer drill setting. Just goes right through that clay without any problem. Now that's a bit of an oversized bit, so I'm not going all the way down because I don't have a bit quite this small. Ideally, you would have a bit that's a little bit smaller than the diameter. So I would actually have a 1/4 inch bit on there. This is the second thing you want to use. Can you see that real good? This right here, now sometimes they'll sell a version of this, but all I did was take gas pipe and put a cap on it and just screw a cap right on there. That's 1/2 inch gas pipe. Slips right over top of that, and it just saves the life of that right there, because your fiberglass, if you start to fray too much, eventually you're going to tear it up. So then you can just get it right back in your hole. I think I got off just a little bit, but it'd be close enough for this. So we are off just a little, but if you look at the post, it's pretty well straight up and down. I don't have to go real deep in this soil for just a line post, but if you don't use that, this is going to end up hitting a rock or something like that. Sometimes at a curve, it'll go down 45 degrees or something like that. It's going to be the same way on those timeless posts. It's exactly the same way. So you really, using that, a different size bit, can be really handy. Alright guys, so we're almost to the last bit of the fence here. You can tell I'm tying on, just going down the post, tying on each thing. And what I'm doing here, I've got a bit there. I'll write a note what size bit that is. I forget what size it is. I'll write that in there. And then I'm going to take 14 gauge wire. I've got it right here. I got me some cutters here. I can tie the wires up afterwards. And I've got my tape measure here, and I'm pulling up 14 inches and 30 inches. I'm doing 14 inches. It's not quite as low as I would do it if I was trying to keep in sheep. It probably would keep in some sheep, but it's not quite as low as I would do it. But I'm doing it 14 inches because we're only doing cattle here. And 14 inches gives us a good height to where the calves can stick their head just up underneath the fence without getting through it. And that way they'll help keep that fence grazed off so it doesn't grow up too bad here and there. Well, what I've done is I take and I drill that hole right through the middle. I was using 12 gauge wire, but now I'm using 14 gauge. I will be putting a link in the description for all the different things that I use. But I drill a hole right through there, and I come around on the bottom side and wrap it, and then I do this one over, and you can see I've kind of got it loose so that the wire will move. You want freedom of movement, just like I've got right there. So then I kind of bend over loosely and then come around the top, and then in the back you can see, then I just tie them both together just like that, and that works really well. So that's going to be pretty close to the last step.